All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, or whenever it is that you're watching this video. You see the title, you know what it is. The format of this video, we're basically going to just run through installation in real time so that, you know, if you're kind of running through it with me, you can kind of follow along, and, you know, we'll be kind of installing things as we go. I was going to go over the limitations and have a discussion of that in this video at the very end, but I realized that people that are interested in that may not necessarily also want to watch the installation part, so we will kind of go through that separately. So that video will come, you know, maybe tomorrow. So basically we're going to go through how to get AutoGPT running on Windows, and before we even get any of the steps in, we just want to make something clear right up front. This is not going to be free, right? So just to let you know about that. So the OpenAI API key, when you're using that, you get charged for the compute that you're using. So you're using their cloud services. Also, in order to use Google Search and have use Google Search API keys, that also requires Google's cloud computing services. Now, you can get a 90-day free trial of that with a $400 credit, which will give you a good deal of time to just kind of search pretty much as much as you want with the AutoGPT. So that's a good place to start with. You're definitely going to need a Google account, obviously. That will allow you to actually sign up for most of the other services that you're going to use to plug into your AutoGPT to give it all of its various capabilities. So this is the page that we'll just jump right into it, right? So this is the page that you're going to be starting off with. This is the GitHub page of a username significant gravitas AutoGPT. You could literally just look up AutoGPT. I believe this is the first or second result. And this is the GitHub. Believe me, you don't need a large amount of technical experience to be able to do this. Don't be intimidated by this. This is really, don't worry about most of this. So if you're interested, you know, there's some details about all the stuff, and there's a text form of all of this to kind of walk you through anything that you might want to go back and look through it for. This page has kind of all this information about the various features. What is AutoGPT? It has access to the internet. It has memory capabilities. It can potentially be extended with plugins if you have access, which most people, that's not really going to apply to them just yet. And it can you know, speak to you as well. So you got to get to this page. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to actually download, you know, the AutoGPT. So AutoGPT master, decide wherever it is that you decide you're going to put this. It's going to come as a zip file, which you can then kind of extract to the whatever folder you feel like using. There you go. So we now have the basic code stuff for AutoGPT there. And this is kind of an account that I made just for this. So this is just, you know, I'm just putting it wherever. And then next you're going to download Python. So you can literally just Google, you know, download Python, and it will kind of bring you here. And you can kind of just download that. And it downloads pretty quickly. And then just install it, which happens pretty quickly as well. Obviously, the other thing you're going to need is OpenAI's. You're going to need an account with OpenAI. And you're going to need to set up the whole account. You need your billing set up. You don't necessarily need to be paying for their $20 a month. So this is the Python setup, done, easy. You don't necessarily need to be paying for their $20 a month GPT Plus like I do. But if you want to be more consistently using the GPT-4 model as of right now in, you know, April of 2023, you will need to have that $20 a month to get access to that part of the API. But you need to get that set up, have your billing information, you know, set up, because they're going to charge you if you're using the API key. And then when you set up your account there, they're going to give you an API key. I'm not running through it again because they actually don't show you the API key ever again. So you need to copy down that API key, preferably written, when they give it to you during that setup process as you set up your account, write it down and then don't lose it, because they won't show it to you again. They will give you a truncated version of that. It'll be in your OpenAI account. So you need OpenAI, obviously, and then you need Google Cloud. So in order to be able to let AutoGPT search the internet with Google, you need three things. One, you need Chrome installed. You need Google Cloud Services in order to have like an API key. And then also, you don't actually need a special developers thing, by the way. This is just kind of being like that. And then you also need a custom search engine set up. So in order to, you can literally just Google how to create a custom search engine. You go to creating a programmable search engine. You can literally just use the control panel link here. You can name your search engine, and then have it search the entire web. Enable image search. You can choose safe search or not. Make sure that you're not a bot, and then boom, done. And now you can go to customize, and this is the search engine ID that you'd be looking for. I'm gonna, obviously I'm gonna delete this afterwards because I'm not gonna bother editing any of this out. But this is how you do it. That process is very easy. Getting into this, I'll show that separately because it's giving me an issue right now. Pinecone. So if you want memory, vector database large to support memory for your AutoGPT, which you do, you should get this. You have a couple of options, right? There's Pinecone, Milvis, and a couple of other ones. We'll be using Pinecone for this demonstration here, but it's basically the same process for all of them. You have to get an account with pinecone.io. You can use your Google account. I didn't even have like a registration process really. Just sign in with Google, and then go to your settings. This is what their settings dashboard looks like. You need two things from here, right? The environment right here, and the value of your API key. This is shielded, which is good. You can actually copy this without even revealing it, which is really nice for privacy. I really like that. So you're going to be using this to get your key value, and you're going to be copying the environment from here. This is what the best tool that you have available to really make your AI speak. And the way you use this is you make an account here, once again, with your Google account. You can go to Profile, and this is your API key. You can see it, you can regenerate it, and you can just copy it and paste it, and that's your API key. That's what you're looking for. You're also going to want a HuggingFace account. So you can also make this AutoGPT HuggingGPT. If you're not aware of what that is, so there's the site huggingface.co, not huggingface.com. That's an emoji website. Huggingface.co is an AI tool website. It has a repository of tools that you can give AutoGPT access to. And so you need to get an account with this site, and then you need to go to your account and go to Access Tokens. It'll give you some Access tokens. You go to your right token, and you can copy that once again without showing your key value, which is great for privacy. This is what you're going to be using, and we'll show you where you're going to be using all this. Is the env file that part of what we just downloaded. And you're going to need Git Bash for Windows. I actually already have this installed, so I won't going to be downloading this again. I already have one like right there. But you download this. You're more or less going to be running a lot of this stuff in kind of command line at this point. This is very early days when it comes to the interface of all this. And then you're also going to want Visual Studio Code. And so you can kind of get all of the resources for all of this kind of in here, which is really convenient. Although they don't seem to have Visual Studio Code. Okay, well, all of this is actually really easy to find, thankfully. So there's your Windows installer. And that's what you get. Now the other thing about this is that is it done? Okay, now it's done. So then you got to install Visual Studio Code. This is so that you can edit this .env file, basically. Not too bad there. Nice and easy. And so next, basically, once this is installed, you're going to be able to go into the .env file and change and put in all of these things that you're about to use. Okay, so this is what Visual Studio Code looks like. We can go to, so this is, then you go to the location that you extracted your ChatGPT to, and you're going to see all these files. You can ignore most of these right now. What you're looking for is the envtemplate file. Okay, first what you got to do is you got to select this, and then you got to rename it. Okay, it's going to give you a warning when you do this. You're going to take out the .template part. Okay, the .env file part you're going to keep in, just like this, and then it's going to warn you that it might become unstable. Yes, you're sure that you want to change it. And then you're going to open it with Visual Studio Code always. All right. Now you can see, so don't get too intimidated by all of this. The basic thing that you're going to want to know about about this particular thing is that these hashtags here make it so that everything that comes after it on the line is a comment, right? It won't have any meaning. We need to insert the meaning. See, you can see how this looks different from everything else. This is meaningful by default because you really, really do need to have that. That is absolutely non-negotiable for the function of this, which is why it's meaningful by default. So you got to talk about how local commands will work. Giving it access to read-write authority on your local drive should make you sweat a little bit. It's kind of inefficient. It can do a whole lot of stuff that you may not necessarily be comfortable with. So to begin with, unless you feel really comfortable from a technical perspective, you should probably keep execute local commands false and restrict to workspace true, and you take the hashtags out of that. Okay. Make the AI settings file valid. Here, you're going to copy and paste your OpenAI API key. I'm going to do that at the very end because, once again, never reveal your OpenAI API key. That is meant to remain private. And then you're going to enable the various models that you're going to use. So don't forget to do that. They need to have valid token limits. And remember that the smart token limit for GPT-4 is 8,000, and GPT-3 is 4,000. So there's different values that can be valid for that. And then you talk about your memory. Okay, so here's how you're going to make your memory valid. If you're using local memory only, you don't want persistent bad database backup, then you can just leave it like this. You don't need to do anything further. I use Pinecone personally, so you need to make your API key and your region valid, okay? And then you will also need to change this to Pinecone. There you go. And then you're going to copy and paste, so your Pinecone API key, you're going to copy and paste that in there. I'm going to do that later, once again, because privacy. But then your region, which we went over here, right there, you're going to copy and paste that in right here. Just leave the equal sign and then copy and paste over everything else, okay? And make sure you make it valid. The color will change, all right? And then we got so Weaviate and Milvus are the other two options, and Redis. So there's a couple of options for memory here. And then if you want memory. You have some options. You have if you want images. So OpenAI will use DALL-E by default. If you're okay with that, then fine. You can just kind of enable that and you're good. And then if you want to use HuggingFace, if you want to use Stable Diffusion, you can do that through HuggingFace. You just have to get your HuggingFace API token, which once again we went over is kind of here. You can copy and paste that and then just kind of remember to just kind of make that valid if you choose to do that. And then you also have an audio to text model there if you can also get through HuggingFace. And then if you have a GitHub account, so if you're using this for software development, you're definitely going to want to, make these valid and then put in your GitHub username. You just copy paste that straight in there. And then GitHub will also have API keys that you can create and you can copy and paste those directly in here. Very easy, very straightforward. You have to make these 2 lines valid and you're set to go. Next, if you want to search with Google, okay, so we already talked about the custom Google API, the programmable search. You literally just click that and paste into here, make it valid, and then once again I will go over the API key at the very end. I'm just going to finagle it and make it work for at the very end there. And then if you wanted to speak to you, so you go to Elevenlabs and you copy and paste this in there, and then make this valid, right? And then you also have to make at least one of these other voice IDs, choose a voice basically. I use Rachel. There's a voice ID. You can look up the voice IDs on the Elevenlabs website. And choose which voice you want the AI to use. I just went with the, And then you can also have it have access to your Twitter feed. So Twitter API, you just need to put in your access token and your consumer key and consumer secret and all that. And then if you have access to plugins, this is where you put in your allowed plugins. I don't have access to them, so I can't actually demonstrate that to you. Sorry. All right, and so to end with, we're basically going to show you how to access this whole Google Cloud Services thing. So first you got to go to console.cloud.google.com and set up an account. You're going to have to get your billing in order. They're going to give you a free trial. They're going to ask for your credit card and all that stuff. As you see up there, $400 credit, 81 days remaining on a 90-day free trial. I do plan on activating that at the end of that. I mean, I plan on continuing to use this. But you do get at least 3 months free, so that makes things kind of easy. This is the kind of standard dashboard there. If you go towards the side here to API and services, you can go down to credentials. And so you can see all these kinds of APIs and stuff. The way that you create an API key, you go up to API key, create API key. Then it'll show you the API key here. And obviously don't ever show this to anybody. I'm going to delete this later, but you can just copy it simply by clicking on that icon there. And then when you first make your API key, you go in here. You can see it again just there, but you make sure that there's no application restrictions and it's unrestricted. Mine defaulted properly this time. The first time I did it, actually didn't default properly, so just double check on that. So that's your API keys. You can show them again whenever you want. You can copy them again whenever you want there. Remember, whatever you want to enable, with Elevenlabs text-to-speech, HuggingFace, various model AIs, Pinecone memory, Google search, all these needs to be copied and pasted into that env file that we were talking about. If you want to use them. You don't have to use them. But this is required for Google search, and then we already went over this and how to make this and copy that, and that's also required. And then having Chrome installed as well is going to be important. And then once you have all of this kind of set up, you have your OpenAI API key, Python is installed, you have your custom search engine API, custom search engine ID, your Google search engine API, Chrome installed, Git installed, Pinecone installed, or Milvus or Weaver or whatever, Redis, any of the ones you want to use. and then you get all the API keys from that. You copy and paste it where it is in the end file, and then you just kind of go to wherever you have your AutoGPT master. And then since you have Git installed, this new option Git bash here will show up, right? And then really what you're going to be doing is this Python m AutoGPT. Now I will say that I did end up leaving a little bit out because it was tedious, but something that can happen once you've installed all your stuff is you can sometimes start to get errors. So when you first see what I did at first here, Python m AutoGPT. So this should have run it, right? And then no good. It says at the very end of this long line of error nonsense, module not found, no module named distro. Okay, so what you do if it gives you these types of errors, you may run into this, you may not. If it doesn't detect Python, then you need to, install Python. Usually that'll mean that your version or something is not getting detected appropriately. But if it's one of these other things like here, distro, pip install distro, then it installed that. Then it ran into another error, AutoGPT plugin template. Okay, pip install AutoGPT plugin template. So you can go through and just keep fixing each of these. Occasionally you might run into one that's not quite so amenable to this. So no module name Git. And then you can try pygit. So sometimes it's Python Git and there's a different name that you can use to get it. But in this case, it was intractable even to that. What you can do in that case is a little bit more, not involved, but still relatively simple. So this command right here, if you keep running into this issue, Python-m space pip install-r requirements.txt. So it'll get all the right package versions and everything for the requirements of AutoGPT. So this is really your ultimate solution to that. It will go ahead and re-verify all these different things automatically, and then you'll be set up. And then you'll be able to use Python-m AutoGPT to actually launch AutoGPT and get it working. Most of this, if you really think about what we did, was just getting all of these peripherals, getting the API keys, and then copy and paste it to the end file, and then just git bashing into the end file, and then running it. And now we have it run. This is how it's going to look when it first runs. You have two ways you can use this. You can either just use this in manual mode, or you can create a built-for-purpose AI assistant, okay? Manual mode, you just have it, continually respond to your prompts. You can tell it what to do, and then have it just kind of go. This, by default, goes to the made for purpose. Actually, before in the earlier versions, it was kind of the only explicitly defined way of using this. Now they have these two options by default. So if you want to stop this at any point, the kill command switch here is Control-C. It will send a kill command to the bash console. It'll be a little delayed, like you're seeing here. I actually already sent it. And then when it reaches the console, it will cut the command wherever it is. And it will allow you to take control back. So if at some point you see that it's doing something that you don't like, you will always have Control-C okay, so once it's like that, you have to actually say, well, once it says, I want ChatGPT 2, then you go -- manual, and that's how it puts you into manual mode. So yeah, it'll ask you to, name the AI. You can give it whatever name you want, and then you can give it various goals, especially if you're trying to do a made-for-purpose, goal-directed AI that is for that one thing, really, and it's not more of an assistant. It'll give you like 5 goals that you can put in, and then you kind of go through. Typically, your last goal will be something along the lines of shut down or await further instructions, and then that's pretty much it. This is how you get to it. Ultimately, the way that you actually use it, it will suggest what it should be doing next. You can say what you want it to do next, or it will suggest it, and then it will say, okay, this is what you want to do. And then in order to actually authorize it to do what it says it wants to do, you type in Y and then hit enter to authorize the next command. If you want to authorize multiple commands at once, you you type in Y space hyphen and then a number. However many commands you want to authorize in a row, it will continuously keep executing those commands without direction in between those executions. So this is why I say Control C is just something to be aware of as a kill switch kind of command. And then all of these here, you can also run always continuous. So if you go with -C or hyphen continuous, you can just run the whole thing always in continuous mode. You can also have it explicitly skipped reprompting. You can have it speak explicitly with hyphen speak. You can specify whether you only want it to use 3.5 or GPT-4. You can have it allow downloads or specify which browser you want it to use, or which plugin dependencies you want. So there's a variety of different options for this initial command of how you start the AutoGPT. But then once you get in it, also this manual mode is something that they've added more recently. And remember that they've been changing and updating the repository here. So coming back to this and just kind of cloning the new repository and getting the new version of AutoGPT should actually be pretty seamless, pretty easy to do once you've done it the first time. And that's basically it. Nice and easy. Thanks for watching. Hope you got some value. If you want to then have a discussion about the limits of AutoGPT and the surprising lack of results with even moderately sized projects that we've seen so far, and what can potentially be done about that, tune into my next video. That's what that'll be about. Like and subscribe. Thank you very much.